Hey, hello, I'm JulieJo. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Feel free to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. If you like videos about scams, MLMs, cults, religious cults, you might want to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to get notified when I post, please hit the bell button. Today was such an amazing interview. I had a blast. Allie's incredible, and I'm so glad you all get to hear her story. It is a lot. She went through a lot. She experienced a lot, her and her family, and I'm so glad that she was open to sharing her story and wanted to warn others about Herbalife and the storefronts that go on. We get a really in-depth look at someone who actually experienced it and did that themselves. So, I guess Luna wants to join in it. She wants to leave is what she wants to do. You want to get out of the room, Luna? Are we good? I think she's laying down. Either way, I am so happy to present to you my interview with Allie. Enjoy!
I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin. Cause we're still sleeping in my head. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin. Cause we're still sleeping in my head.
First off, thank you for coming and talking to me. I know you, first off, you kind of asked me I guess, how did you come up? What made you come into my DMs, I think is what I want to start off with. Because you came into my DMs and then it worked out in a way that I was just going to let you use my channel to kind of get your story out. So what happened? What made you come in my DMs?
Yep, Julie, I found your page. I was actually doing some research. So I was on Instagram a lot and then also on YouTube. And I was typing in a lot of anti-MLM and things of that sort. And I came across a lot of people, but I definitely liked you because I liked your story. I liked your education too. So you kind of talking about your careers and why that kind of, strays you away from MLM and everything of that sort was very interesting to me. But then also just the kind of variety and all of the different companies that you were kind of, giving insight into was very interesting to me. So when I saw your page, I didn't really see videos about the company that I was involved in. So that's the main reason that I reached out, because I was like, this girl's doing something positive. She's doing the right thing. And I just thought it was important for people to hear this story too.
Yeah, I am very excited because you were with Herbalife, right?
Yes.
First off, thank you. You're so kind. Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I don't know a whole lot about it. I mean, I think I know the basics, and I've even tried it before. Actually, when I was in high school,
Yep.
my friend's parents sold it, and I even tried it then. But so you reached out to me wanting to share your story. We kind of decided maybe I can interview you and put it out there. And I think one of the most questions I get with MLMs is, how do Herbalife stores work? How does any of that work? And honestly, I don't even know. So I'm very excited we get to talk about that today.
Yes.
And I want to ask, how did you get introduced to Herbalife? What was the entrance into it?
Yes, so it was actually an interesting entrance. So I kind of was in a area, a city, and I was going into some businesses, for example, to get a salad, and I would see these little cards that said, come try a shake and tea half off, and I would always ignore them. But then after a while, I started getting Instagram ads, probably because I was frequenting that area a lot, which makes sense. But after that, I think it was my probably 27th, 26th birthday, because I'm getting a little older, but one of my friends wanted to check it out because, the drinks were appealing and looked cool and cool names, things of that sort. So during that time, I was actually a teacher. And it was during the coronavirus. So it was right when teachers went virtual, kind of nationwide. And I was getting, just a little bored inside, feeling like I wasn't able to kind of give the kids my all versus in the classroom. So during that time, I started consuming the drinks. I would kind of, go to the club for lunch and get a shake and tea and things of that sort. And that's how I first got involved.
Okay, interesting. What made you say yes? How did someone, first off, how did someone offer the business to you? What did that look like? And what made it appealing to you to say yes?
Yep. So the business was first offered to me as I, you know, kind of would frequent the location, I connected with a girl there and didn't know at the time that I was being signed up under her. And
Oh, yeah.
yep. And because I was coming in so frequently, and mind you, this is during the coronavirus. So a lot of places were asking for name, number, things of that sort. So at the time, it wasn't a red flag for me. Probably pre-COVID, it would have been a red flag. But me kind of just being nice and so like, you know, lighthearted was like, okay, like no problem. So, you know, started getting the drinks. And so, someone reached out to me and basically sent me an Herbalife cart. So that was my first kind of like strong introduction, because I was like, whoa, I'm just coming, you know, a couple times a week and just purchasing the drinks. I don't know if I want to be on a monthly plan, especially if it's around $200 a month, because at the time I was a teacher. Right. So
Yeah.
so we all know, like a 7th grade English teacher, I was just kind of living life, but wasn't looking for an additional $200 bill each month. Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So at that point, I definitely turned that down, but I was still interested in the business from the outside. So, you know, their marketing and their pictures, and I just wanted to learn more. So upon me wanting to learn more, that's when I was told, well, you can have your own club one day. And that's kind of when all of my, you know, lost and misleading happened.
So, do you feel like it was much different than like if it was like Monet reaching out to you to join the business? Do you feel like their tactic, the way they like came about it, was different? Because it seems like it didn't probably look like an MLM to you
It
from the outside.
Exactly. And I don't have a lot of like experiences with MLMs. I do know of like Monet, and I've heard of like a couple other ones, and I'm not even sure like if it works as an MLM, for example. But I've heard of businesses where they sign people up. But because I saw these storefronts, I thought that there was a different way to do it. And so yes, yep. And so the stores were definitely, I would say, kind of like a shield for what's really going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea that you could own your own store one day, it doesn't look like it's not the same thing as like an MLM when you're looking at it, right?
Exactly.
So you just mentioned something about underneath the surface. I'd love to get to a little more of that. Um, can you explain to me, because I literally have no idea,
Uh-huh.
how these stores work? How do they work? And how is the MLM like intertwined in them? Also, how are you able to open one yourself? What
Hmm.
does that look like?
Yeah, so I think that that's going to look different for every person. I come from a background, like I said, like a career background. So I went to college and things of that sort, which a lot of the club owners have not. And I also come from a family who was willing to help me and back me. So I feel like my org, that's what they call them, like different organizations in Herbalife,
Oh,
depending on who you're signed up under. And so I feel like my org kind of got lucky with me, because after they knew that I had the interest and I had the money, they kind of just threw me, you know, to the wolves. And so the way that like it happens with a lot of other people is that a club owner will open up a club and someone like you or I will start working there, and then they'll ask them, hey, do you want your own club one day? And if you say yes, they might go sign a lease for you and let you pay them back $15,000, because that's how much they say it costs to open, which was a total, you know, false statement. But yeah, so everyone's path is kind of different, but me and my family invested everything of our own money. You know, no credit card, no loan to open this up. So I think that's kind of why it hit so hard for me, because it's like no one loaned me anything. This was, you know, me, and not only me, but my family, which is even more important.
yeah, absolutely. It seems legit when you're not like in the trenches, like when now it's not, but when you were in it, you probably thought like, oh my gosh, I'm opening my own store. Like
Yes.
I have my own thing, which first off is incredible. I've seen your store. It's beautiful. The
Thank
the
you.
designs, the colors are stunning. I think it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I wanna talk a little bit more about you becoming a part of someone's store, did you work for someone like in their store first?
Yes, yep. So I sure did. I worked at the store that I was going to first. And during that summer, so this is the summer of 2020, I worked for them. But because I had the idea of opening up my own store, I brought in my little brother, his girlfriend, my little sister, two of her best friends. So at that time, I kind of understood what was going on, that I was having to sign them up, with the company in order for them to work at the store. And I was like, wait, why? Like, why, why can't we just pay them hourly? Why do we have to do it this way? You know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's when stuff started, starting to add up. But at the same time, I had already signed a lease. So at that
Yeah.
point, I'm like, okay, well, I know that this is the way that people are doing it, and I see it, and I disagree with it. And I would ask questions to, the people who were over me, who I signed up under, and they really wouldn't have answers. They went from meeting me and telling me, "Oh, love you so much," after 2 weeks of seeing me, to not talking to me ever again, just because I was asking questions.
Wow.
Yes.
I
So
feel like we see that a lot with MLMs. When you are the question asker, things get a little bit, people get unsure of you. They don't like when
exactly.
people ask questions.
Yep. And then you turn into a total outcast, which is really something that I'm not used to as a person. I'm used to people, getting along with me and thinking, oh, she's so nice, she's so positive. So it was very hard for me, because I would keep thinking, like, what did I do? Besides try to do the right thing, and besides try to, search for information, which most people should never discredit you for.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair too. When you're about to when you sign a lease and you're about to open up the store, or you even have the idea of it, I think you're going to want all the information you want, especially if you're like a decent business person.
Exactly. Yep.
And so I want to ask, so when you were working in the store, not
Hmm.
yours, but the one that you were in before,
Hmm.
how does that work? Like, how do you get customers? And let's say someone else is in there and they're also like a distributor. Is there ever like any like little bit of fighting over it, or like what does that look like?
Yes, it is definitely. I don't know how people do it this way, but I definitely didn't like it. Of course, when they usually have two people working, per AM shift, and then two per PM shift usually. And so when I was there with my siblings and my family, there would never be a problem. But when other people were there, for example, if I found a customer, because I posted on my Instagram story, which they would try to require us to do, and so if one of my good friends came in and gave my name, somehow they would be signed up under, let's just make up a name, Sarah, for example, right? And I would be like, hey Sarah, why is my mom's fiance signed up under you? He came in and he said my name, and I have proof because it's my mom's fiance. But people were definitely trying to fight and take customers, but the reason was the club owners were not paying people properly. So there would be some days that we would literally get, $4 an hour. And we would ask why. And the answer was, you're a 1099 employee, and this is commission based. So they said that, minimum wage didn't apply to 1099 employees. And at the time, because I was opening up a business and I had my teacher salary, it didn't affect me too much, but it was affecting my siblings, because they're younger than me, and
Yeah.
teaching them a horrible lesson, because I was like, if a place is taking advantage of you like this, you're required to get on calls every Monday at 8 o'clock. You're required to do tea drops in the community to earn activity points, etc. But you're coming here using your gas and making $4 an hour. It just doesn't seem, ethically right.
Yeah, absolutely. So they got to choose what they paid you an hour?
Yes, but they would say that it was based off of customers. So if you want more money, you have to try to get more customers. But because I am so intuitive, I, did a lot of kind of digging, and I would look through Excel spreadsheets, and there was just a lot of confusion about where money was going that the club was making. So, the club would say, well, we need to take X amount, we need to take 1/3 back, and we need to buy products. But then, the club would be short on products. So you would kind of wonder, well, did that money go to the owner? You know what I mean? So there was a lot of that going on.
So
It's
did you
shady.
feel like, yeah, shady for sure.
Hmm.
Did you feel like, and of course this is alleged, but did you feel like that maybe the owner was taking advantage of the money and like taking it for themselves over actually paying y'all decently?
Yes, and at first I was trying not to think that, because like I said, I'm very like, everyone's trying to do the right thing, but I think that this situation has definitely taught me that some people are not the best people. And it's unfortunate, but some people you just won't be able to work with. And the thing with the money that kind of stood out the most to me, because when I was in college, I, waitress that, like a college bar and bartending and things like that. And one of the main reasons that I believe people waitress and bartend is for tips, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Like when you're in a service industry, if you're doing the right thing, then that's how you get your reward, is tips. And so what I realized in the clubs is that we were also not getting the tips. So not only were you only, on a bad day getting around $4 an hour when you did the math, you also were not getting your tips. So even if you did work hard and, bust your butt all day and were super kind to customers, or even brought new people in and they tipped you because, you're their friend or you're their family, that tip would go to the owner. And so at that point, yep. And so when I, expressed that I realized that was going on, and I also told some other people who agreed with me that that wasn't right, that's when it really started getting bad.
Okay. And so I feel like there's just not a lot of regulation, like when it comes to this, like the shop owner really just can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you say you felt like it was, and that's when it started going bad, could you tell me a little more about what you mean by that?
Yeah. So part of the reason that like all of this hurts me so much is just because I feel like I was totally misled by the two girls who got me involved, and they're two sisters, and they're, a little older than me. I didn't know them prior to this, but I thought that, when I signed my lease and when I had all these ideas, that they were going to help me and kind of hold my hand and like lead me. Because like you said, I mean, the idea of having like a business, at the time I was 27 or 28, and I was like, yeah, like having a business is so cool. And when I opened it, like you said, I did spend extra time and money because a lot of the nutrition clubs have a similar look. But that's why I wanted mine to look different. So I added color and I added pendant lights and I did all these things. And I was in, my city paper for Women in Business and for Small Business Saturday. So I was trying to like just do it totally different. But because I was doing all of that, the two girls who kind of introduced it to me just stopped talking to me. And I would see them supporting other people who open clubs under them, So for example, if you're having like a waffle Sunday, they would post, come to this city, if you're in here, so-and-so's having this, come check it out. But whenever I did events, they would never support, they would never even share it on their story. And so things like that kept happening. And I'm the type of person who, wants to know why. So I would reach out and say, hey guys, like, why is everybody ignoring me? What's going on? Can someone help? Because at this point I'm realizing that I'm not making as much money as you guys said. So it just started turning into them blatantly ignoring me, to the point where they actually removed me from all of the groups and blocked me.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so sorry about that. First off, I don't think anyone deserves to be treated like that. So, wow. So
Yeah.
these people got you into it, right? Like these two people introduced you into it.
Yep.
They say they're gonna. I'm guessing they say they're gonna help you,
Mm-hmm.
walk you through it.
Yep.
And I feel like that's a lot of what uplines say, right? I feel like that's pretty
Yep. That's
normal.
pretty standard. Yes.
And because you chose to be independent in a sense by like making your store prettier, because it is beautiful.
Thank
Really,
you.
yeah, for real. Like I was like, oh my god, this is like, I want my wall to look like that.
I know.
For sure.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to bring that wall to my next house or something. Yep.
Bro, so just because you added your personal touches to it and kind of, I don't know, didn't follow the crowd to a T, they took a step back. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
And then because you started questioning and really just questioning in general, they just kind of pushed you out completely.
Exactly. Yep. Like some of this stuff is just so like minimal and like petty to me. But for example, they did not want me to have colors in my store. They said that the store should be gray and white and that we can do a mural on the wall, but I really shouldn't incorporate too much color. And I was like, well, in talking to my family, I'm the one purchasing the paint. I went on Pinterest, and my best friend and I did like one of those DIY things to paint the cool geometric wall.
So good.
Yeah, but they did not want me to do that. And the crazy thing, and I cannot make this up, is that probably I would give it 2 months later. Some people were redesigning, quote unquote, their clubs. And so the like channel that a lot of these people use is Telegram. So all this was in Telegram. And I feel like they use Telegram for a reason, because you can delete people and, block people and kind of control control the communication in the group. And so within 2 months, people were asking for design ideas, and all of a sudden other people, and I'm in Michigan, so a lot of these clubs are in Michigan and Ohio that are in my org. But a lot of clubs started doing the same exact thing. So at that point, of course, I have to speak up and say something to the 2 girls who were over me, because I'm like, that's not fair. And it also, takes away my originality now. So now this is something that I started. You guys were against it and opposed it, but now other people are doing it. Like, how do you think that makes someone feel, So there was a lot of petty stuff like that going on, where I was just like, why are these people, targeting me? And even if it's not intentional, it definitely feels like it, just because I was an outcast.
Yeah, it's sad to say, like, I'm just not surprised by people doing that. And I'm very sorry that you have to go through that, because it's shitty. It's just like women being awful to other women.
Yes.
Who, it's like they were just super deceptive to you. Like, if they're going to help you and walk you through it, they should have done that.
Exactly.
But they didn't.
Nope.
Just because you had a little bit of, like you said, like, your own, you put a little bit of your own taste in it. You're like a little bit of you into it, instead of Herbalife, right?
Exactly.
Or what they want. And so that's wild to me, but I'm not too surprised. Yep. I wanted to ask you, tell us a story about your shop, how that all came together, and then why you departed with it.
Sure.
If you're open to that.
Yep. So I'll try to make a long story short, but my shop, I didn't know where I wanted it to be at first. I was kind of like going back to Ann Arbor. That's the city that I went to in college. And I couldn't really find anything good. So then I ended up coming back home. So I've been in Farmington Hills all of my life, from elementary school to high school and then after college. So I wanted to, kind of create a staple in the community that was a positive place. I wanted to incorporate fitness. I have a family full of athletes. Like, my dad played professional basketball. My little brother played in college. Now he coaches. So we're, super athletic, things of that sort. And so I just wanted it to, like, kind of be like a safe haven. And so that's why we, designed it that way. We had to do everything on our own. So when we signed the lease, there was nothing inside. There was no bathroom. So, no running water, no plumbing, no electricity. And so that was a lot. And it was just a lot of, like, lessons, me going to the city hall and trying to apply for permits and, finding contractors, because the 2 girls, it's funny that their father, usually builds all the bars, but he didn't build mine. So,
oh my gosh.
Yep. So our opening process sucked. Yep. Our opening process sucked, because I'm like, I told my mom prior, hey, I have all this lined up. I have all this ready to go. But then people just kind of start dropping off, So really, really sucked. And so we opened our doors on March 29th, 2021. So our build out took some time, definitely. And when we opened, everything was great at first. But part of the reason that everything was great was because my landlord was pretty nice with this and gave us 3 months of free rent. So we had a couple months where my judgment was clouded a little bit, because I wasn't having to pay the rent. And I had a lot of products to start off with, because, to open, most people start off with extra. So by month 3, as I, start to order more and more products, and as I'm paying my rent and paying my other bills, I start to realize, like, I'm actually not making that much money. And one of the reasons that I wasn't making a lot of money also was because I was paying people $14 an hour starting, and I was giving them tips, because I, deep in my heart, could never give someone $4 an hour and expect them to be a good worker, to respect me, to respect my business. So I was doing it a different way. But like I said, at the end of the day, that did end up hurting me. But like I said, I just wanted to create a place where people could come and connect. And so we had a lot of good customers, like special people who I can think of their names now, who I made great relationships with, like everyone from, high schoolers or middle schoolers, because I used to be a teacher, to, grandparents. We had this one man, he was literally 93 years old, and he would drive up and he would always have his cup holder, because he didn't like to, throw stuff away and ruin the planet. So there was just so many people who I would see, or my mom or my little brother, and just good, kind people. But I started to realize that they were coming to the business for us. not for Herbalife. They were coming to the business to support us, because we were, you know, a young Black-owned business in the community, which is kind of rare in my community. So it created a lot of buzz at first, and we just, you know, created a lot of relationships. We would go around to schools and for Teacher Appreciation Week, you know, drop off free drinks. And so that part of it I really loved, because I did feel like I was doing something positive and, you know, doing the right thing. But then on the back end, when I would start looking at my numbers and looking at my money, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm losing a lot of money each month. And if I was surviving as a teacher who was not making a lot of money, then this means that there's a problem going on. And so the amount of money that I was having to spend on products, you know, paying workers and rent each month was sometimes nearing over $8,000 to $9,000. And
Wow.
yes, and I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
And that's also
Yes.
not what I was told. I was told that I would make back my money in the first 3 months of opening. Um, of course.
Yeah, and you know, with this business model, the Herbalife shops being so different, right? I mean, it really is so much easier to fall for, in my opinion, than,
Yes.
you know, regular, because it looks so different. You get the opportunity to take it into your hands and like mold it to what you want it to be, even though they're going to kind of outcast you if you do that.
Yep.
And I feel like they promised you things that just really aren't true. Maybe in a perfect world,
Maybe
right?
in a perfect
Maybe
world. Yep.
maybe like 1 in 100,000 people that's true for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I want to give you some time to like tell us maybe really cool things that you learned, or like you've already mentioned the relationships you were able to build, which is incredible. Like that's really really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But that you saw they were just coming there for you and not necessarily Herbalife, right? And then what were some things that you experienced that were just bad? That what was like the ultimate, like, I feel just lied to, you know, like what are some of those emotions? I want to give you this time to just kind of like express that, and you know, let us know, maybe warn us about some things when it comes to this stuff. So go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So I would definitely say that the most positive takeaway was, yes, the people in the community that I feel like, you know, me and my family touched and were able to, you know, make a difference in anyone's day. That's always something that I'm going to carry with me. There were also so many cool events that I did. One of my favorite ones, I had a young girl mentoring group. It's called, what is it called? I think it's called Brown Skin Girls. And they came, and we, you know, went outside and we talked about life. We talked about school. We talked about applying to college. And so just doing little things like that always, you know, made it that much better for me during this time, because this has probably been like one of the hardest times in my life. And I didn't expect, you know, like approaching 30 to ever have to go through something like this. But it's definitely been very, very challenging. And I've had so many days where I have just not been myself. And that started happening to me in the store, where the customers would walk in and they would look at me and say, Allie, like, what's wrong? And I would try to hold myself together. But as it started getting worse and worse, and as I was losing so much money and just not being able to afford it anymore, I started, you know, telling my customers and being honest with them. And I think the thing that kind of gave me the most closure was when I posted on my Instagram that I was closing. And, you know, like around 400, 500 likes, and so many people
Yeah.
like, you know, saying like, you did the right thing and like keep pushing, and this is just a season in your life. And honestly, I typed out the message, like, you know, the caption for that probably like 2 weeks before I posted it, because I was just so scared and so nervous. And I was like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm a failure. I've kind of been known all of my life for, you know, like working hard, but it paying off. And in this, I did work hard, but it didn't pay off at all. And I lost a lot through it, you know? So I think like some of the red flags that I wish that I would have paid more attention to in the beginning were just like kind of their methods and the way that they communicate with people, and the things that they do and say, because they were so kind of like intertwined in this habit of getting on these calls every Monday, and of, you know, doing your weekly tea drops and making sure you post 10 stories on your Instagram every day. And so I didn't do that stuff because I was like, I don't want to post 10 stories on my personal Instagram. I'm just working here right now and things of that sort. But I think that if I would have kind of like looked into that more and understood that they needed us to do that because it would make them money, that things would have like made more sense. My mom and one of my best friends who I went to college with actually both told me to watch this documentary called Betting on Zero. And I yelled at them during the time. I mean, I didn't yell at them, but I was like, don't be negative. Like, I'm not going to watch that, you know? And looking back, I wish that I would have watched it. I actually watched it early this summer, like kind of when the summer started. And I was like, okay, these people sound like me. Losing over $200,000 is real. And I never ever knew that that would happen to me or my family. And I keep saying my family because, of course, like I said, I was a teacher coming into this and I did have some money saved up, but my family helped me a lot. And my previous career is pharmaceutical sales. So, of course, going from pharmaceutical sales to teaching, you take a huge pay cut. And so after a while, of course, I ran out of money. So it turned into my family having to order, you know, my products for my store to keep running and my family having to help me pay my rent. And that was just something that, like, you know, internally, I couldn't let that happen anymore. I was like, this is not why I opened the business. I thought it could change my family's life for the better, not hurt them.
Yeah. I mean, first off, I want you to know that, like you said, you're not a failure, right? I mean, a lot of people, even myself, have fallen for even bigger red flags.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I feel like I can speak for your family when I say this. You haven't hurt them, and I'm sure they're extremely proud of you, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what.
Yes.
Um, and I hope that this opportunity to kind of share and, I mean, pretty much warn others. I hope you know it's a big deal and that not many people are willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that you willing to do this is going to change a lot of people's lives. You're going to
Yes.
help a lot of people with just you sharing your story in this video. Um,
Yes.
and I think you're an incredible person.
Oh,
I
thank
have
you.
I don't even know you, but just hearing you talk and like it seems like there are a lot of people out there who really love and appreciate you and look up to you
Thank you.
as like even though you had to like your story wasn't what Herbalife might call a success,
Mm-hmm.
they saw your drive and that you actually cared for the community. And so
Exactly.
yeah, it seems like that your heart was in the right place 100% of the time. And I can't say the same for myself when I was in an MLM. So I'm just like, if no one said it, I'm really proud of you
Mm-hmm.
for seeing all of this, processing it, and being open to sharing it with us all.
Yes.
Because a lot of us don't know how these stores work because it's different.
It's
Like you
so
said,
different.
yes. And I feel like I have gotten such like an in-depth view now of
Mm-hmm.
these stores, and hearing your story is just, I'm so sorry,
Thank
you
you.
know, that you experienced all of that and your family. And I'm very sorry, but just know that from here, it's up, right? We're going
Yes.
up from here
Yep.
and we learn. And you've also made an impact, even you made an impact while you were at the store anyway, right? Even doing Herbalife, you were making an impact in your community.
Exactly.
So it wasn't all for nothing.
Yes. Yep. I definitely try to take those small pieces with me and just like, yep, we're moving onward and upward. And it's crazy
Yeah.
because a lot of people say, you know, the dream is to be, you know, your own boss and a business owner. But I've gone back into the corporate world and honestly, I am so happy. I feel like I know it sounds crazy, but I actually feel safe again. I like have a sense of like stability and security and like, you know, health insurance and paid time off and just things that I did not have when I was working Monday through Sunday every day unhappy. So it's just like it's a hard chapter to close and I'm still trying to close pieces of it, you know, but I'm just glad that I've kind of like reached the point where I can actually sit and talk about it without crying or, you know, without
Yes.
freaking out or having a breakdown and my mom having to come hug me. So it's just It's just been a long road, but like you said, I am, speaking for others because I have, 2 friends who opened during the same time as me who have since had to close their stores, and they don't want to speak about it just because, they don't want anyone to think that they're being negative or retaliation or things like that. So I literally told one of my friends, I said, you know what, one day I'll be the voice for us both because we're not doing anything wrong. We're telling the truth, and we're just telling it from our eyes. And, we need more people to do things like that to prevent more people getting hurt.
Yes. I mean, you're also so well-spoken.
Oh, thank you.
You're so well-spoken.
Thank you.
I think you've done an incredible job. I just want you to know that even if thousands of people don't watch this video, the ripple effect is with your story, you're going to help thousands of people. Whether it's Herbalife stores or just red flags in general, or just being more wary of what could be. Your story is huge, and it really is going to make an impact. And I'm just really grateful you allowed me the opportunity to share it on my platform.
Thank you.
Yeah, Allie, I just think you're so awesome.
Oh, same to you. Thank you.
Thank you
yes,
so much.
I definitely think you're awesome too. And I love your name. It's Julie. That's my grandma's name. So I was like, I definitely have to hit her up. Yep. I was like, that's a sign. That's a green flag. So
that's a green flag. I love that. That's awesome. Is there any final thing you want to say? Maybe you feel like you haven't been able to say on this interview, or that you just want to end this interview with?
Yeah, so I would definitely like to thank you, of course, for, being flexible with me and my phone tag and taking the time to, help me get this out. So I definitely want to thank you. I also want to, I don't know who will ever see this, but of course I want to thank all of my customers who did make a positive impact in my life. And again, my little brother's life, because I call him my little brother, but he's 24, but it was his first job. And I've never seen like so many people say so many positive things about him because I just haven't worked with him before. So I, of course, want to thank my little brother for holding me down, and then just all of my friends and family who stuck with me during that time. So just again, thanking you, Julie, and then thanking everyone for helping me get through what I would call the most difficult time in my life.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. I know, as someone firsthand, I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
I know it takes time, right, to process and do it. And I know we're not done processing it, even still today.
Exactly.
So thank you again, Allie. And I think I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. And for everyone watching, please let Allie know what you think about this. Give her all the love because she's been through it. So thank you, Allie. And we'll say bye now.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Show you what I'm all about. Make up for what we lost. Tonight is the night that we're gonna fall in love. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about yours.